be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear.
See, they knew that they messed up, so they just tried to scurry on past it like it didn't matter, but it does matter. You said you wasn't gonna fact check, and as soon as you do what you say you're not gonna do as the major news station, you lose all your credibility. So welcome back to Quality TV. I'm your host Qua. And today's video, we got to talk about last night's debate. I'm going to just bring a couple points to you and talk about my opinion on things. To me, it really wasn't a debate. It was just two guys agreeing with each other. And normally we get used to the bickering, the fight in between the left and the right. And we missed the what really matters here is we would want the two opposing parties to come together and agree with each other on certain things, but nonetheless it is a political battle, so I'm gonna have to give my opinion the best way I know how. I have to give my opinion on how I see it, and if we're talking about moving the needle forward, JD Vance definitely moved the needle forward for himself. Tim Walz not so much. So from what I've been seeing in the news, we're going to go ahead and say that JD was a winner, but his favorability went up by some points. So I can kind of say that that's a win. But for the most part, there was no winners, in my opinion. It wasn't really a debate. And once again, the moderators, they didn't do a good enough job. CBS, to me, they failed at doing the job. They stated that they weren't going to fact check, but then proceeded to try to fact check JD Vance, and that's gonna lead us to our first clip. All right, so now the ladies, they did say that they weren't gonna fact check. Now let's see, and once they fact check JD Vance, look at how he responded, and I just gotta say he did the right thing. JD Vance, he's quicker on his feet than Donald Trump is. He's a lot younger than Donald Trump, so I'm sure that contributes to it as well. But let's hear what he had to say.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you,
Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you.
Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for.
Listen to the name of the app. He said you can go look it up yourself. I learned from watching these videos and just hearing them talk. If you just listen to them and you go actually search what they're saying, you tend to get your answers there versus relying on somebody else to tell you that it's not true. We should just do our own research, right? That's how we solve problems. We get our own information. We live in the information age. We get more information than ever before.
Parole and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear.
See, they knew that they messed up, so they just tried to scurry on past it like it didn't matter, but it does matter. You said you wasn't gonna fact check, and as soon as you do what you say you're not gonna do as the major news station, you lose all your credibility. So from that point on, it's a lot of things. I kind of checked out a little bit, but again, it was just a bunch of agreements from both sides. But let's continue the video. I'm going to show you clear proof. I'm going to show you clear proof that, again, they just don't like the Republican ticket. Roll it.
Senator Vance and Governor Walz made many claims tonight. Major Garrett has been fact-checking them on the fly and in real time. Major, you're going to start with opioid deaths.
That's right. And I just want to let everyone know the CBS News Confirmed team has done an entire fact check of the entire debate. You can find those fact checks on social media, CBS News, or on our website, CBS News Confirmed team. I'm going to summarize 3 of them because they all touch on immigration, which was heavily debated in this process tonight, and the issues all run through, one way or another, the conversation, national and otherwise, about immigration. Let's start with the first one, dealing with opioid deaths. It came up in the context of immigration. The claim, this was from Governor Walz. Opioid crisis, the good news is in the last 12 months, the nation saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history, 30% decrease in Ohio. The CBS News Confirmed team rates that partially true, and here's why. Our country's only been counting opioid deaths officially since 2015, and in 2024, our nation recorded, sadly, more than 77,000 opioid deaths. That was down 7% from the year before. About 3,000 deaths in 2024, slightly larger than that in Ohio. That was not a 30% decrease. That was an 18% decrease. That's why the CBS News Confirmed team rates that assertion as partially true. Let's go to the next.
All right, well, you've seen it. Partially true wasn't 30%. It was 18%, but partially true on that. I mean, it is down. We don't want people dying from fentanyl overdoses and things like that, but we know where it's coming from at the same time. Partially true, right?
And this one has been chewed over extensively in the campaign. JD Vance, Republican from Ohio, said, Vice President Harris became the appointed border czar. This could be a semantic issue for some people. We rate it, the CBS News Confirmed team, is false, and here is why. That was never Kamala Harris's title. That was never her designated role. Immigration policy flowed through the president and the secretary.
Oh, my gosh. So they say that this is false when this is not false. This isn't false. This is indeed true. So czar, right? Czar. C-Z-A-R. Let's see what a czar is. All right, czar. Sometimes spelled T-S-A-R. Informal title used for certain high-level officials in the United States and the United Kingdom. Typically granted broad powers to address a particular concern, right? Broad power to address a particular concern. He said that immigration runs through the president, right? So Kamala Harris was indeed appointed to be the border czar, and I'll show you a video of exactly when it happened.
Became a team and got elected. That I said when we became a team and got elected that the vice president was going to be the last person in the room. She didn't realize that means she gets every assignment. But the vice president and I and all of us here have been working very hard to pass the legislation that is going to beat this virus, as well as get people back to work and change their prospects. And so she's traveling all over the country working that. In addition to that, there's about 5 other major things she's handling, but I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border.
You seen what he had to say from Biden's mouth itself, well, a COVID mask covered mouth. She was in charge of the border. How CBS made that out to be false, I'm not sure. Can somebody help me understand that? If you know what I'm missing, please drop it down in the comment section below. But as you know, you got some people in the comment section that likes to say that I don't know what I'm talking about or I'm ignorant. I just did my own research here, and here it is. So,
something that JD Vance said, again, in the context of immigration, housing that is totally unaffordable because we have brought millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. CBS News confirmed team rates that is partially true. Clearly, and Senator Vance made reference to a Federal Reserve study that says larger migration to America in the Biden administration is one factor in housing stock shortage.
it is still true. If you got millions, 20 millions of illegal immigrants coming here, they're going to need housing. They've been getting housing. So in terms of rent for Americans are up, housing for Americans up. We only had small amounts of land. We can't give them land for free. They haven't paid into our system. We've paid into the system, and we still don't get the same benefits that somebody who's here illegally has. Make that make sense to me, America? I don't know. So all in all, in the debate, we didn't get much. Again, I feel like we got more than we got from the presidential election, but I just want to roll some clips of the closing statements, JD Vance's closing statements, some things Tim Walz had to say, which I feel like were majorly important to America and the state of America. So I'll just go ahead and roll that clip for you.
Immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations.
Briefly. So all her time as the border czar, she spent her time undoing what Donald Trump did. Is what she spent her whole entire time doing. I just think it's weird that they choose to go after Donald Trump so much that they actually avoid doing their actual job. So the entire time you're trying to undo what he did, you were making it worse for Americans. So I'm not going to trust you or your VP to fix the problem that you caused. You were the border czar. The border is one of the biggest problems in America right now. The economy is all hand in hand. It goes together, and it's her fault, in my opinion.
Decriminalize illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally. I think you start with deportations on those folks. And then I think you make it harder for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage in our own country. And by the way, that'll be really good for our workers who just want to earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work.
Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation. The Border Patrol said, this is what we need in here. These are the experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there. 1,500 new border agents, detection for drugs, DOJ money to speed up these the adjudications on this, just what America wants. But as soon as I was getting...
That is not what America wants. This is... We don't want more people that's taking our tax dollars and using it for their benefit. The government's giving our tax dollars to them. That's not what we want. No, I don't agree with you there, sir.
Ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no, told them to vote against it because it gives him a campaign issue. It gives him to, what would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things? And they need to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. So look, we have the options to do this. Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this, and he promised you America.
In those 4 years, the border was still better. I don't care what you got to say, Tim. It was still better under Donald Trump. And the stats show it.
America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it. Less than 2% of that wall got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years after he came down that escalator, dehumanizing people and telling him what he was going to do.
She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%, open the American southern border, and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now, not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan is not just a plan, but it's also a record. A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom.
Well, Kamala Harris's day one was Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession, but 10 million people out of work, largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that. That was day one. Whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this.
They keep screaming day one on everything, but actually nothing really gets done, like almost ever. But we know the Dixies have had, they've been the ones in the White House for the majority of the last 20 years.
I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going to be president, you don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota.
All right. You see how bad the economy is now? The economists, some of them, they really don't know what the hell they're talking about. And let me show you one of them who was completely stumped. I just love this clip. I'll show you this clip and then I'll end the video there. But let's see. Let me show you the economist that Trump say you can't trust.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing.
Nah, bruh. You just don't know what you're talking about. I love this clip for some reason. This is Biden's economic advisor. So, like he said, last person in the room, she should know better, right? But I'm not voting to give her a raise when she's been jacking up since she's been in there. But all in all, again, the debate, to me, it wasn't a debate. They agreed on a lot of things. There were some good takeaways from it. I discussed those here in this video, at least some of them. But that's my time for today. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But that's my time. Peace, love, and fish grease. I'll see you guys on the next video.